Yes, in case you were wondering, this blade is not actually real. Welcome to a very special video. I'm Brian of Chamber of the Wraith, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 games I personally played in 2017. Now, keeping this in mind, I'm actually filming this on November 22nd, like a month and a bit in advance, because I figured I'd just get this out of the way now, since I'm not allowed, it's a family rule that you're not allowed to buy yourself any sort of presents or anything like that for at least from November 1st all the way up until Boxing Day, which is December 26th. It's a rule thing that we've had at least since I was around, so 2 decades now. So I'm going to respect that. So since I can't buy any more new games for myself, I figured I might as well talk about the games that I did like while I was playing through this year. Now, there is one more thing that I gotta talk about. Some of these games I actually haven't played a lot of, and that's because I did a lot of grinding in Injustice 2. By the way, if you didn't expect that game to be on my top 10, then you're crazy. But in all seriousness, granted that this is not that, again, some of these games I haven't completed, and some of these games I have not actually played in a long time, and I haven't made a lot of progress. I really want to, and I need a really good excuse to do so. So, keeping that in mind, those games are still going to be on the list, and hopefully I will actually have an excuse to play more of those games. And with that being said, I'm going to jump right into the countdown with one honorable mention. Just keep it, just a little something. I was going to put this game on my top 10, but then I realized it's not something I like as much as these other ones. So, if there was a number 11 spot, this game would be here. Now, this pick will actually surprise a few of you. Knack. No, you're not seeing things. I'm just really, really late to the party. But keep this in mind. It only really caught my attention recently, this year. So, when I believe I either saw it for free or at a really nice discount, I picked it up and I actually played through the first few chapters. I actually did a sneak peek of this video on my channel. Go ahead and check it out. I'll put the link in the description. But here is my personal thoughts on Knack as somebody who has just beaten Chapter 3, Part 2, The Abominable Knack. The story is actually quite fantastic. I'm keeping my voice down for this part because there's dialogue, although you can read the subtitles. I always like to keep subtitles on because for situations like this, it might be easier to read instead of speak. Now, the thing with this game is that it is really unique. The protagonist, Knack, is actually very interesting. He was created by the professor from that orb in his chest and can only really interact with small things like the relics, which you'll hear mentioned a lot. See, a bunch of relics got captured by these goblins who somehow showed up with tanks. And storming the fortress, several of the humans got kidnapped, and the professor's nephew, the human on the left, and Knack, who you're seeing bulk up with ice, which, if you've read the subtitles, is something that you should not be able to do, is going to go in and try and save them. Although I haven't really gotten super duper far beyond Chapter 3-2. Now that we're actually in gameplay, I can kind of explain a little bit about why I like this game so much. It's really neat and quite interesting. Don't mind my stumbles here. This game is, in a word, hard. It is actually quite difficult if you are new to this thing because Knack is not all that tough. He can go down in a couple of hits if he's lucky, and a lot of opponents have moves that can take you out in one strike. And if you are if you're like me, you kind of just charge headlong into battle without thinking, you could get exploded a lot. So you really need to approach combat a little more methodically, which is kind of nice because it forces you to think. But moments like here, where I spawned right where the arrows were and I barely had a chance to bulk up, that is ridiculous. And that is one thing that, even though I haven't played the sequel yet, I hope they kind of fix how the spawning works, because that is the biggest complaint I have about Knack, is that sometimes its spawning is its respawning is ridiculous. But other than that, I quite like this game, and that's why it gets an honorable mention. On to the actual list. Number 10 goes to Infamous Second Son. The reason why it's so low on the list, even though I did a full playthrough of this game on my channel for the good ending, once again, you can look for it in the description, I've played this game before 2017. This is actually technically the first PS4 game I've ever actually played. I played this before Mortal Kombat X. And even though, again, because this was just before Mortal Kombat X came out, I dropped it for over a year. I picked it back up, and it is now the only PS4 game I have right now that I have the Platinum Trophy for, and 100% completed. Well, kind of. Number 9 on the list is also technically 100% complete now, but I have not Platinum it trophy-wise yet. This game is probably the best Infamous game thus far, providing by far the biggest variety of powers in the game, with an awesome setting, cool story. Delsin is a bit of a dick, admittedly, but if you play through as a good guy, he actually is not a bad dude. He's just a typical delinquent, so things get dicey, to say the least. And as your protagonist, you are kind of inclined to like the guy, even if it takes a little while. And there's a bit near the end of the game with Reggie. I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to watch the whole thing if you didn't watch it already, but it's probably the only moment in the PS4 game thus far, that I've played anyway, that made me kind of sob a little bit. I am dead serious about that, by the way. And before you ask, no, I have not actually played The Last of Us yet, but maybe in 2018 that'll be a resolution that I could fix. Maybe. On to number 9.
Hide in the shadows. We're coming for you.
Number 9 goes to Batman Return to Arkham. It's quite low on the list, you might expect, because it's a remaster of 2009's Batman Arkham Asylum and 2011's Batman Arkham City. But the reason why I put it up so high is because I played these all throughout 2016 in my Memories of Arkham series, which, in case you're wondering, is kind of building up to Batman Arkham Knight sometime in 2018. Yes, I'm kind of revealing it a bit early, but why not? Now, there's good reasons to like both of these games. They're both fantastic, and in fact, Arkham City is in the Guinness Book of World Records for highest rated superhero game. But personally, I kind of like how the Predator challenges kind of have this slower flow at times in Batman Arkham Asylum, and how the thugs sound when they're terrified. Like, listen to this. As compared to, with Arkham City, you have more takedowns and more variety and, more things to do, but I kind of feel that they made things a little bit lighter, weirdly, in Arkham City than in Arkham Asylum, at least in how things sound. And I do quite like how things sound. Just listen to how bone-breaking sounds in Arkham Asylum versus when it happens in Arkham City. That sounds like it really hurt. Whereas this, it doesn't quite sound as painful, honestly, in my opinion. And in case you're wondering, and yes, in Arkham City you play as more characters, as Catwoman, Robin, and Nightwing, as well as Batman, but you also get to play as the Joker in Batman Arkham Asylum. So there's reasons to play both of these games, and as they're in one package, you can kind of get them for, in a way, a 2-for-1 deal, since I think it's like $40 now, which is pretty solid. On to number 8. Number 8 goes to Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. This was a game that was absolutely amazing to play, and I did like a 4-hour live stream of this game, but I did not finish it. And I haven't played it since, up until now, when I've actually gone to record it. There is actually another game, that I played, but have not beaten, and I'm way further away from beating it from my understanding of how long this game takes, but I'll explain that when it comes up. Now, Hellblade is a very unique game. It's described as an indie game with a AAA budget. And even though it's got a AAA budget, it only cost like $40 at launch or something like that. It was pretty cheap. And this game, it takes psychosis and mental illness to a whole new level. The game actually, in its development, actually was influenced by psychiatrists and people who actually had experiences with acute psychosis and other mental disorders of the sort, in order to ensure that the experiences that Senua, a character who has mental disorders like this, are as accurate as possible to how it actually is in real life. So it really makes you feel like there's like mentally disturbed when you play this game, which I guess is supposed to be the point so that you can kind of open your eyes to, wow, holy shit. And frankly, it really opened my eyes to psychosis. And seriously, if you've not played this game, or if you don't want to feel overly disturbed and just want to watch a playthrough, I understand that completely, but at least watch a playthrough of this game. Seriously, it's fantastic. The gameplay is really nice. The combat is a little dicey at times, but that's quite all right. And you'll notice that I just mentioned combat. It's not a combat-heavy game. It's kind of more about solving puzzles, like this bit with the fire, where you're trying not to get burned alive, but at the same time finding the things in order to unlock the door. But because it's a maze, you get lost, and then you hear the voices and screaming and things, and it gets overly distracting, and the next thing you know, you're being burnt to a crisp. And when you do die, like I do here, because, you know, fire touches me and I die because, oh god, I'm on fire, you'll notice that a corruption will creep up on Senua's arm upon death. Have a look here. That is your indicator. And what's interesting is that you might be wondering, well, why am I being worried about this corruption? About this corruption creeping up Senua's arm? Well, if you died too many times, you have to start from the very beginning of the game. That is a very unique take on the permadeath mechanic, and I really do enjoy it. And I obviously can't sing this game's praises enough. Please play it, or watch it, or whatever. Seriously, this is a game you do not want to miss out on, especially if you're a psychological horror fan, or if you're the kind of person who wants to kind of open your eyes to how truly terrifying mental illness is. This is a great game for you. On to number 7.
Activision presents a smashing blast from the past. Developed by Vicarious Visions. It's Crash Bandicoot!
Come on, you knew this was going to be on the list. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is by far one of the best mascot games of all time. Straight up, I love this game. Granted, the game is actually rather difficult, except for Crash 3, but that's because I've played the most out of Crash 3 in this whole trilogy thing, because I actually played it when I was a kid. So, Crash 1 and 2 are completely foreign territory for me, so they're quite difficult. But I'm not going to complain about the difficulty, because it kind of makes sense. These games are built from the ground up, basically carbon copies of Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3 for PS4. Now, obviously, there's some slight tweaks here or there, but overall, they're the same game. The one complaint I have, why does it take so long to load things? Seriously, it took this long just to get to the hub world, mostly because of load times. But I digress. Load times aside, this is an amazing game. If you've not played Crash Bandicoot before and really want to find out what it was all about, pick up this game right now. It would certainly be cheaper than to go hunt down the 3 games and a working PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, since, you know, backwards compatibility was the thing back then, in order to actually have a jolly old time playing this game. So, keep that in mind and truly play this game if you've not. It is fantastic. freaking tastic. Onwards to number 6. By the way, you're going to be hearing me say, advocating to play this game, or to play X game a lot. Trust, well, I mean, it wouldn't be a top 10 game if I wasn't doing that, right? Onwards to number 6. Now, some of you may be surprised by this. Injustice 2 is probably my most played game of 2017 ever since its release. So what's it doing at number 6? Shouldn't it be higher? Well, here's the thing. As awesome and refined and cool as Injustice 2 is, with all of the gear options and characters and things and stuff like that, it fundamentally just doesn't feel as fun as Mortal Kombat did when that was a thing. And honest to God, I played more Mortal Kombat X in 2015 than I have played Injustice 2 thus far. Now, granted, Injustice 2 did come out about a month later, so it's a little tough to kind of make that comparison. But I had way more fun playing Mortal Kombat X than I did playing Injustice 2. And this is coming from somebody who's played this since day one and has had quite a bit of fun playing this game. Now, this is definitely NetherRealm Studios' best fighting game so far. From a mechanical standpoint and everything, it is just solid in how great it is. And its story mode is fantastic. And having DC picks like Black Canary, Swamp Thing, and even some really interesting guest characters like Hellboy, and in February, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was a left field pick, really made this fun. But I don't know, it's just, Injustice just doesn't feel quite as fun as Mortal Kombat, and it's really tough to kind of explain why. But seriously, if you have not played this game, I do recommend it. But if you're not a big fan of the first Injustice game and you don't think you're gonna like this, I could kind of understand why you would be hesitant. And one thing that is worth noting is that there was a bit of concern with the gear system and the loot boxes and all of that. But honestly, Injustice 2 has implemented this in the best way that it is kind of possible to do. And if you still don't like it, I understand. With the loot boxes, you cannot actually buy them with real money. The closest you can do is buy them with credits that you earn in-game, and you can only buy up to gold. You cannot buy platinum or diamond mother boxes. But you can buy source crystals, which are used to buy colors and shaders and things. And that's really the only way that you can use your real-world money to enhance your Injustice 2 gaming experience. It's not a pay-to-win situation by any means. And with the inclusion of certain modes being competitive, like ranked, and having competitive player matches now, you can turn gear off, so it's a much more level playing field, which is honestly fantastic. You should, or honestly, if fighting games kind of go down this road, they should allow a base competitive mode where gear does not do a damn thing but change your looks, and that's kind of really nice. Now, again, Injustice 2 is kind of iffy in my personal opinion, but I do quite enjoy the game, and I will continuously grind for more gear, even though I am honestly just sitting here hoping that Mortal Kombat 11 gets announced pretty soon. I cannot wait to get more Mortal Kombat in my life. On to number 5, probably the biggest surprise in the entire list. Yes, a mobile game beat Injustice 2 to the number 5 spot. Jetpack Joyride, which I'm playing on the PS4 version because it's easier to kind of just record it in one spot, is quite literally the best mobile game you're ever going to play, in my personal opinion. Straight up, if you're hesitant to play a mobile game, pick up Jetpack Joyride. It does everything just so well. It's a side-scrolling runner that you play until you get zapped and die, and then you can spend the coins in order to get whatever sort of in-game jetpacks or gadgets or whatever that you want. And it's fantastic. Quite honestly, if you have a phone and you've not played this yet, download it. It's free. And it does have the option of you buying things, but they're always understandable. Even though you almost have to have the obligatory like $91.99 for like 1.5 million coins. Don't buy that, please. But everything else is really reasonable. Like, at the most, you're probably only going to be spending maybe $5 or $6 on the transaction, which is not bad at all. Seriously, it's actually really cool. And if you're wanting to play it on PS4 because you don't have a mobile device or you just want to play it on PS4, I think it's only like $2.99. It's not that bad. I seriously recommend that you check out Jetpack Joyride. It is easily the best mobile game that I've ever played. Even though it came out in 2011, the game is still being supported. It just had a couple of bug fixes, literally 2 weeks ago, which is really awesome. And I mean, granted, I've played Mortal Kombat X Mobile for longer. It's not on the list because, well, I've played it for over a year now. Whereas this game, I've started playing in May of 2017, somewhere in that range. So it gets on the list. Now, don't worry, there aren't any more mobile games here, but there are going to be some interesting picks for the numbers going forward either way. Starting with Number 4 goes to Shovel Knight, another game that I was woefully behind the trend on. You'll notice that quite a few of these games I was actually kind of behind on playing these. So, Shovel Knight is a awesome side-scroller, echoing back to the days of the NES and the Super Nintendo and all of that good stuff. Except, I believe it actually first came out on the PC, and then ended up getting releases on PS3 and Xbox 360, and later on the PS4, and all of that good stuff. Now, in case you are wondering what this is about, you are a knight who has to go find his fellow knight in order to try not to die, in order to save her from the clutches of the Enchantress and her Order of No Quarter, you know, super evil knights and stuff. Your weapon? A shovel. Sounds crazy, but you can actually really make this work very nicely. Digging up things in order to find treasure, and using the shovel to be a fairly capable weapon. With customizable armors and shields later in the game, this little knight can really get it done. And he's kind of become an indie icon over the years, even showing up in another game that I really hope to play in 2018, even though I actually have it, Yooka-Laylee. I'm not kidding, I still have not played Yooka-Laylee yet, even though I really, really want to. So, because we're going with games that I started playing in 2017, this game makes it on the list, and oh my god, I really, really, really like it a lot. I hope you guys pick this game up because it's fantastic. You can even pick it up for Nintendo 3DS now, I believe. So, alongside the Vita, portable ways to shovel. Fantastic. Number 3 goes to Letter Quest Remastered, which, full clarification, I actually technically got this game on Christmas, but I hadn't played it until 2017, so I believe that still kind of counts as a 2017 thing, right? I think so. Now, the gameplay, of course, is super simplistic when you look at it. You spell words, you hit monsters until they're dead, collect gems, and move on with your life, and, you know, get your power-ups and stuff. But that is what makes it so interesting. Not a lot of games with combat feature words. The only other example I can think of was a PC game from PopCap called Bookworm Adventures. And this game is better than Bookworm Adventures, in my opinion. But this game may not appeal to everyone because it might be super simplistic. And you might think, oh, this would be more fit for a 6-year-old child than it would be for an adult human being. But that can actually be an advantage. If you are really good with words and you like things like Words with Friends and Scrabble, you might actually find some enjoyment in this game because it's just spelling words in order to attack monsters. It's not difficult and it's quite delightful. And of course it's actually quite cheap, even though I believe I technically picked this game up for free because I did it for a sneak peek episode, as well as one of the other picks lower down, that being Knack, which was actually the honorable mention now that I think about it. It is seriously a fun game if you are looking for something different and don't want to, you know, just play, oh, I'm playing another open world action game again. Then you can play Letter Quest Remastered, which is quite cheap. might be worth some of your time, right? I hope so. I really like this game, if you couldn't already tell. What has not already been said about Horizon Zero Dawn that I could add? Quite frankly, nothing. But honest to God, this is serious contender for Game of the Year, and this is probably one of the best games I have played in a really long time. So why is it that I have not played this game since, like, June? Seriously, I haven't played this game since at least June, if not since March. And that's probably just because the time ran away from me, and eventually Injustice 2 came out. And I was playing that to hell and back. But if things were differently, and I honestly, put myself back in the world of Horizon Zero Dawn, which won't be very hard, because playing it again, I'm like, ooh, I gotta do it again! That itch is coming back, baby! Yeah, I am all over the idea of playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I might even do it for a stream. And the fact that it's just so well done and quite fantastic. Well, I might probably have to save it for a time when I'm playing again. So, like, when I could actually make some of the choices I made right at the beginning of the game. But, seriously, if you've not played this game yet, or were hesitant to pick up this game, nobody has been selling this game short. It is fantastic. Seriously, go play it. It's an awesome take on the whole open world role-playing game thing that really takes it and puts it at its best, in my opinion. Which is weird because the developers for this game, Guerrilla, their last games, the only games they've done before Horizon Zero Dawn, was the Killzone series, which was a first-person shooter. Way to make a splash in a non-native genre, Guerrilla. Kudos to you. But it's only number 2. And it just got edged out by a game I played recently and did a sneak peek for. And I cannot get enough of this game. Seriously, it is probably one of my favorite indie title type things ever. And if you've not played it before, I highly recommend that you play it. Like, ASAP. And that number 1 pick is... Nope, your eyes do not deceive you. Hugh beat out Horizon Zero Dawn as my number 1 game that I played in 2017. Now, if you're wondering what the hell is Hugh and how did it beat Horizon Zero Dawn, well, Hugh is a puzzle game revolving around changing the colors of your world in order to solve puzzles and find letters that are clues in order to figure out what happened to a mysterious character, which I personally believe to be Hugh's mom. I have not beaten the game yet, like so many other games here, so keep that in mind as I kind of talk this over. But I love puzzle games. It's not a really big surprise if you actually know me, but seriously, I love puzzle games, and this is easily one of the better puzzle games I've played in a long time. It's unique, the music is fantastic, the color mechanic is super duper cool, and I can never get enough of it to save my life. Now, for those who are rightfully questioning my decision to put this game ahead of Horizon Zero Dawn, especially since, I haven't beaten this game, well, I haven't actually beaten Horizon Zero Dawn either, nor have I beaten Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Otherwise, both of those games would probably be higher on the list. But because I beat Infamous Second Son twice, in fact, and it's not going to beat, and it won't be beating Horizon Zero Dawn anytime soon. So you may be confused as to why the hell am I making some of these more ludicrous decisions. Well, let me explain with my face on the camera so that you can kind of understand more of what I'm thinking. Now, I can understand that some people might be looking at me like, why did you make some of the decisions that you made? It doesn't make any sense. Well, it's games that I personally enjoyed and had a great time playing. And obviously those games are going to be on the list no matter what. But I tried my best to kind of explain my thinking as to where they are on the list anytime I talk about them. Like with Injustice 2, why is it number 6 instead of higher on the list? Well, I try to explain to the best of my ability. But with games that I played in 2017, there wasn't a lot. I was working a lot, and by was I mean at the time of this recording I'm actually unemployed. But hopefully by the time this video goes up, I have a job, so I may keep you guys updated on that as things kind of progress. But because I was working a lot and I was doing a lot of Injustice 2 grinding and all of this stuff, I honestly did not have time or motivation to play a lot of other games. Most of my gaming experiences were on this thing. Serious to God. I was playing a lot more mobile games than I was playing console games. And hell, I technically wasn't even playing a lot of Injustice 2. I was letting the AI take care of the multiverse while I was cracking out another round in Mortal Kombat X Mobile, or playing another run of Jetpack Joyride, or what have you. So, keeping that in mind, the whole gaming thing was relatively light for me in 2017, so I didn't get to play a lot of games. And a lot of the games that I wanted to play, Horizon Zero Dawn, Senua's Sacrifice, and the like, I just didn't have a lot of time to play. But now, but since I've had more time to play some of these games, and to collect the footage, I obviously had to play more of those games. I really want to. So, hopefully, in 2018, I'll have more time to play Horizon Zero Dawn and Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, and maybe get over my biggest issue that I have when it comes to playing a lot of these games. I'm always, as you'll notice, I'm always 3 or 4 years behind everybody else. Straight up, Knack? Knack came out in 2014. It was a launch title. Infamous Second Son? Same goddamn thing. There weren't a lot of these games that actually technically came out in 2017, but I only got around to playing them this year, which is why they're on the list, even though you're looking at me like, why the fuck is Shovel Knight on here, even though it's 3 or 4 years old? Calm your damn tits, dude, and play something more modern. I get that. But modern gaming is kind of expensive, if you couldn't tell. And with the current sort of embargo, I was not able to... I'm not able to buy any more games for the rest of the year. Plus, there were games that a lot of people would have liked, like Nier Automata, that, honestly, I could not... I was not interested in playing Nier Automata. Don't ask me why. It just never really clicked with me. And a lot of the games coming up in 2018 look super duper cool, and I hope that I can actually play all of them this time. But again, sorry, I'm stuttering. Again, I don't script these things, so you have to keep that in mind. But yeah, a lot of games in 2017 that I may have missed. If they are on your favorites list, please make your own favorites list and tag me in them so that I can watch it or read it and do some research on them, because I wasn't going to be able to include all the games in 2017. Quite frankly, that would have been impossible. And because of how I play my games and how things were in 2017, I didn't play a lot of different varieties of games. So hopefully this kind of clears up the air and helps you understand what the hell I was thinking when I made this list. If it does, great. If not, I'll try and explain it better next time. But, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this list anyhow. If you've got any comments or anything you want to talk about or anything like that, please let me know. And, of course, because this was done mainly on the PS4, I was only able to cover one game that was not mainly on the PS4, which is Jetpack Joyride. But if there was a game on, say, PC, or on Xbox One, or on the Nintendo 3DS, or the Nintendo Switch, that I was not able to play, for God's sakes, I would have probably put Super Mario Odyssey on this list if I could have. But I don't have a Nintendo Switch, so I couldn't. But if there are Nintendo Switch games you want to bring up, let me know. I would be more than happy to. And I better end this now since it's getting to be almost half an hour long, and I know that you guys don't like to be kept for too long. I hope you enjoyed this list, and as always, don't forget to be awesome, and let's hope 2018 really brings in the good games. I mean, you got shit like Spider-Man and God of War, I'm already excited, but at the same time, Battlefront 2 is not looking like a very good omen for things to come. We'll see, right?